The sun rose gently, casting a golden glow over the monastery nestled beneath the ancient Bodhi tree. Disciples sat in silence, waiting patiently for Buddha to address them. He sat on a simple mat, radiating an aura of calmness and wisdom. Each breath he took seemed synchronized with the rhythm of nature itself. The breeze whispered softly through the leaves, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine. A young monk named Kalidasa approached hesitantly, bowing deeply before Buddha. "Master, why do we struggle to truly listen?" Kalidasa asked with sincerity, his voice trembling slightly. Buddha opened his eyes, his gaze falling upon Kalidasa with unspoken compassion. "Kalidasa, the heart must be still to hear," he said, his voice flowing like a gentle river. He raised his hand, gesturing toward the tree. "Do you hear the tree?" Buddha asked, his tone carrying a timeless serenity. Kalidasa tilted his head, focusing intently on the tree's rustling leaves. "I hear the sound of leaves moving in the wind," Kalidasa replied thoughtfully, his expression reflective. Buddha smiled, his wisdom shining through his gentle demeanor. "You hear the sound, Kalidasa, but do you hear its essence?" Buddha asked, his gaze steady. Kalidasa paused, uncertain of what Buddha meant, his brows furrowing slightly. "Master, how can one hear the essence of sound?" Kalidasa inquired, his curiosity awakened. Buddha extended his arm, plucking a single leaf from the tree. "This leaf speaks of impermanence," he said softly. Holding it aloft, he turned the leaf in his fingers, its delicate veins catching the sunlight. As the wind moves, the leaf responds, adapting its form without resistance. He placed the leaf upon the ground, watching it flutter away. Buddha gestured for Sudama to approach and sit near him. "Sudama, focus not on avoiding sorrow, but on understanding it," he said, his tone comforting yet firm. A senior disciple named Yashoda added, "Master, is deep listening an art we must practice daily?" Buddha nodded in affirmation, his smile serene and encouraging. "Yes, Yashoda, it is an art that requires unwavering attention and compassion," Buddha replied gently. He stood, his robes flowing as he moved toward the nearby riverbank. The disciples followed silently, eager to absorb his teachings. Buddha smiled gently, acknowledging the truth in Sudama's realization. "Indeed, humility allows us to grow. Much like the lotus unfolding its petals toward light," he explained. The disciples sat in quiet agreement, their thoughts swirling like the river's currents, reflecting the wisdom they had absorbed. Ananda, still holding the lotus, spoke again. Ananda spoke first, his voice steady and thoughtful. "Master, the river speaks of flow and resilience, never ceasing its journey forward," Ananda said earnestly. "The river carries all it receives, flowing steadily toward the ocean," he remarked, gazing at the water's surface. "It does not resist what comes its way, nor does it hold on tightly." He picked up a handful of water and let it slip through his fingers. "Like the river, let sorrow pass through you." Turning to face his disciples, Buddha spoke, "The river's voice mirrors life's truths, yet few can hear without distraction." He paused, allowing his words to settle deeply within their hearts. To listen deeply is to surrender oneself entirely to the present moment. Buddha began walking back to the monastery, his footsteps echoing softly on the path. The disciples followed, their minds and hearts attuned to his wisdom. Upon reaching the Bodhi tree, Buddha gestured for them to sit once more. The setting sun cast long shadows, the air thick with the sound of chirping crickets. Buddha sat, resting his hands upon his lap, his posture embodying tranquility. He gazed toward the horizon, his eyes reflecting infinite compassion and understanding. "Tomorrow, you will encounter silence unlike any before," Buddha declared, his words deliberate and profound. A disciple named Rahula spoke hesitantly. Master, I fear disappointment's arrival, though I understand its nature. He closed his eyes once more, returning to the sacred stillness that defined his presence. The disciples stayed silently in meditation, absorbing the evening's teachings with gratitude and awe. Another day, another sunrise. The monastery awakened to the sounds of birds singing and the scent of fresh blossoms. The disciples gathered in silence, their hearts eager to continue learning from Buddha's serene wisdom. Buddha sat in quiet contemplation, his presence radiating an inexplicable calmness that stilled the minds of his followers. The soft chirping of sparrows interrupted the tranquil morning air, drawing Buddha's attention to a nearby cluster of trees. He stood slowly, his movements graceful and deliberate, gesturing for his disciples to follow him. The group walked together, their footsteps soft against the dewy grass that sparkled under the sunlight. As they approached the source of the sound, they discovered a sparrow tangled in a thorny bush. Struggling desperately, Buddha knelt carefully beside the bush, his gentle hands working to free the frightened bird from its ensnarement. He looked at each disciple, his gaze filled with compassion and wisdom. Do not think of disappointment as punishment, he said. Ananda spoke first, his tone thoughtful. Master, I heard fear and desperation in its cries as it struggled to break free. Master's words teach us to find lessons in all that life offers, he said. His voice steady and clear. Buddha smiled but did not interrupt. Indeed, the sparrow's cries reflect the suffering that permeates existence, Buddha explained. His voice carrying the weight of timeless truth. He gestured toward the bush where the sparrow had been trapped. Its entanglement mirrors the thorny struggles of human life, Buddha said, his tone gentle yet profound. The disciples absorbed his words, their hearts resonating with the universal suffering he described. Buddha continued, deep listening is not confined to hearing sounds. It is the art of hearing the soul's essence. He walked over to a clearing, inviting his disciples to sit beneath the shade of a towering cedar tree. The soft rustle of leaves accompanied their meditation as Buddha began to speak again. To truly hear, one must listen not with the ears, but with compassion, Buddha said, his voice steady and deliberate. He gazed toward the horizon, his eyes reflecting infinite kindness and understanding. Compassion opens the heart, allowing us to connect with another's suffering, Buddha continued, his words flowing seamlessly. A young monk named Ravi asked, Master, how can we cultivate compassion through listening? Buddha turned his gaze toward Ravi, his expression gentle yet instructive. Ravi, listen deeply, not to respond, but to understand, Buddha explained, his voice filled with wisdom. The sparrow's cries called for help, yet we must also hear its unspoken plea for compassion, Buddha elaborated patiently. He gestured for his disciples to close their eyes, inviting them to listen to the subtle sounds of the surrounding forest. The chirping birds, the rustling leaves, and the distant murmur of the river created a symphony of life. Buddha's voice broke the silence, guiding their meditation. Hear not only the sounds, but the emotions carried within them, Buddha instructed, his voice calm yet purposeful. The disciples remained silent, their attention fully immersed in the moment, striving to absorb Buddha's teachings. As the morning turned into noon, sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows upon the ground. Buddha spoke again. Deep listening bridges the divide between self and other, fostering interconnectedness and harmony. His words lingered in the air, resonating deeply with his followers. Ananda asked, Master, is listening without distraction the essence of this practice? Buddha nodded, his serene expression unwavering. Yes, Ananda, presence and focus are vital. Without them, one cannot truly hear or understand, Buddha explained. He rose to his feet, leading the disciples to a nearby riverbank where the water flowed gently over smooth stones. The river's melody complemented the teachings of the day, its sound creating an atmosphere of tranquility and reflection. Buddha knelt beside the river, his movements fluid and purposeful, inviting his disciples to listen. The river speaks of impermanence and resilience, Buddha said, his voice harmonizing with the flowing water. He scooped a handful of water, watching it trickle between his fingers before returning to the river. Listen deeply to its journey and let its lessons guide you, Buddha instructed. His tone soft yet profound. Ravi spoke again, his voice steady and thoughtful. Master, the river's rhythm reminds me of life's ever-changing nature, never static but always moving forward. Buddha smiled warmly, pleased with Ravi's insight. Another disciple named Kalidasa added, the river's journey reflects the continuous flow of existence, unbroken yet constantly transforming. Buddha nodded, his eyes filled with infinite compassion. To listen to the river is to listen to life itself, Buddha said, his words carrying timeless wisdom. Life's rhythm speaks through every sound, every emotion, and every moment, Buddha elaborated gently. The disciples sat in silence, their minds and hearts attuned to the lessons of the river and Buddha's teachings. As the sun began to set, casting golden hues across the landscape, Buddha rose and gestured for them to return to the monastery. They followed, their hearts filled with gratitude and reverence. Upon reaching the Bodhi tree, Buddha invited his disciples to meditate once more, allowing the day's lessons to settle within their hearts. Tomorrow, we will explore the art of listening further, diving into the depths of its wisdom, Buddha said. His voice carried a promise of profound learning, inspiring his disciples to continue their journey of understanding. He closed his eyes, returning to the sacred stillness that defined his presence. The disciples remained in silent meditation, absorbing the wisdom of their master with devotion and awe. Another day, another lesson. The monastery came alive with the soft hum of morning prayers and the fragrance of incense. The disciples gathered around Buddha, their hearts filled with anticipation for the day's teachings. Buddha stood beneath the Bodhi tree, his presence serene and unwavering, radiating an aura of infinite wisdom. He gestured for his disciples to follow him, leading them to the banks of a nearby river, its waters glistening under sunlight. The river murmured softly, its rhythm weaving a melody that complemented the tranquil morning atmosphere. Buddha knelt by the water's edge, his fingers grazing its cool surface, inviting the disciples to join him. Listen to the river, not just to its sound, but to its message, Buddha said, his voice calm and deliberate. The disciples closed their eyes, attuning their minds to the flow of the river, letting its gentle sounds guide their thoughts. Ananda spoke first, his voice steady. Master, the river's melody reminds me of life's continuous flow, unbroken yet ever-changing. Buddha nodded, acknowledging Ananda's insight with a serene smile. Life flows like the river, each moment shaping the next, none remaining unchanged, Buddha explained, his words profound. Kalidasa added, the river speaks of impermanence, teaching us to embrace change and let go of attachments that tether us. Buddha turned his gaze to the horizon, his eyes reflecting infinite compassion and understanding. Impermanence is not a force to fear, but a truth to embrace, Buddha said, his tone gentle yet firm. He gestured toward a small pebble submerged in the river's waters, its surface smooth from years of erosion. This pebble's journey is shaped by the river's flow, each ripple crafting its form, Buddha observed, his voice thoughtful. He lifted the pebble from the water, holding it aloft for his disciples to see. Deep listening reveals the lessons hidden within life's rhythm, lessons of resilience and transformation. The disciples sat in silence, reflecting on Buddha's teachings, their hearts resonating with the wisdom carried within his words. Buddha placed the pebble back into the river, watching it settle gently before continuing his lesson. To listen deeply is to honor the interconnectedness of all things, Buddha said, his voice flowing like the river. Ravi asked, Master, how can we listen deeply when distractions cloud our minds? Buddha turned his gaze toward Ravi, his expression gentle yet instructive. Ravi, quiet the mind through presence and compassion, for only then can true understanding emerge, Buddha explained patiently. He invited his disciples to sit along the riverbank, their feet dipping into the cool water, grounding themselves in the present moment. The river's melody intertwined with the sounds of the surrounding forest, creating a symphony that captivated their senses. Buddha's voice broke the silence, guiding their meditation. Listen not to respond, but to understand the essence of each sound, each moment, Buddha instructed, his tone steady yet soothing. The disciples focused intently, their hearts opening to the subtle teachings carried within the river's flow. Yashoda spoke, her voice filled with newfound clarity. Master, the river teaches us to release resistance and surrender to life's natural rhythm. Buddha smiled warmly, his gaze filled with infinite kindness and affirmation. Yes, Yashoda, surrender allows us to flow gracefully with life's currents, Buddha replied. His words flowing seamlessly, he stood, his movements deliberate yet graceful, leading his disciples back to the monastery. As they walked, the setting sun cast golden hues across the landscape, illuminating the path with its gentle glow. Upon reaching the Bodhi tree, Buddha gestured for his disciples to sit once more, their hearts attuned to his wisdom. He began to speak again, his voice carrying the depth of timeless truth. The art of deep listening transcends sound, connecting us to the essence of existence itself, Buddha said, his words profound yet accessible. He looked at each of his disciples, his gaze steady and filled with compassion. When we listen deeply, we hear the interconnectedness that binds us to all beings, Buddha continued. Ananda asked, Master, is interconnectedness the foundation of this practice? Buddha nodded, his serene expression unwavering. Yes, Ananda, interconnectedness is the thread that weaves us into the fabric of existence, Buddha explained. Patiently, he closed his eyes, returning to the stillness that defined his presence. The disciples remained in silent meditation, absorbing the day's teachings with gratitude and reverence. The symphony of nature surrounded them, the river's murmur and the rustling leaves creating an atmosphere of harmony. Buddha's words lingered in their hearts, inspiring them to continue their journey of understanding. As the moon rose, casting a gentle glow over the monastery, the disciples opened their eyes, their minds refreshed and their souls renewed. Buddha rose, gesturing for them to rest and prepare for the teachings of tomorrow. They bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude. Before retreating to their chambers, the night embraced the monastery in its quiet tranquility, the river's melody continuing to weave its lessons into the fabric of existence. Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, his presence serene and unwavering, his heart attuned to the infinite wisdom of the moment. The disciples slept soundly, their dreams carrying the echoes of Buddha's teachings. He turned to the villagers, addressing their pain directly. Much like the threads of this cloth, he continued, holding up a weaver's garment, life is strengthened through connection. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.